There's a strange moment that happens to a lot of people. It usually doesn't look dramatic. No confetti, no celebration, no life changing phone call. It often happens quietly, late at night. You open your banking app the same way you always do. Not because you want to buy something, but because you're checking, making sure nothing weird happened, making sure the rent payment went through, making sure your card didn't get charged twice, making sure the number isn't lower than you expected. For a lot of people, money feels like that. A constant low-level background check. Like your brain never fully relaxes around it, and then one day, something small appears in your account. A number that wasn't there before. $1,000, not invested, not tied up somewhere. Just sitting there. And what surprises people isn't the number. It's the feeling that comes with it. Because for the first time in a long time, money stops feeling like it's chasing you and starts feeling like it's giving you a little space. That first $1,000 does something most people don't expect. It changes how your mind experiences money. When people talk about financial milestones, the conversation usually jumps straight to the big numbers. 10,000, 100,000, a million. Those numbers get all the attention. They sound impressive. They look good in headlines. But most people completely overlook the moment when the psychological relationship with money actually starts to shift. And surprisingly, it happens much earlier. The truth is, most financial stress isn't caused by not being wealthy. It's caused by living without margin, when every dollar already has a job. When your paycheck arrives already pre-spent, rent, groceries, transportation, subscriptions you forgot you even had. A dinner with friends you almost feel guilty about. When your financial life is that tight, even small surprises feel big. A dentist visit, a broken phone, a car repair. None of those things are catastrophic in theory. But when you're operating close to zero, they feel like emergencies. And when emergencies feel constant, your brain starts treating money like a threat. Not a tool, not an opportunity, a threat. That's why so many people feel anxious about money, even when their life looks perfectly stable from the outside. Bills are paid, work is steady, nothing is falling apart, and yet the background tension never fully disappears. Because the system they're living in leaves no room for error, and the brain hates systems with no margin. This is where the first $1,000 becomes so powerful. Not because it makes someone wealthy, but because it interrupts that constant state of financial tightness. Think about what life looks like when your account balance is constantly hovering close to zero. Every decision becomes heavier. Buying groceries feels like math. Filling up gas feels like timing. Even small purchases require mental calculation. Your brain is constantly asking, will this cause a problem later? That kind of mental load adds up. Researchers actually talk about something called scarcity mindset. When resources feel limited, your brain becomes hyper-focused on short-term survival. It narrows your thinking. You become reactive instead of strategic. You're solving today's problem, not building tomorrow's stability. And this isn't a personal flaw, it's simply how human psychology works. When people feel financially squeezed, their cognitive bandwidth shrinks. Decision quality drops. Planning becomes harder. Long-term thinking fades. It's not because people are irresponsible. It's because their brain is operating under pressure. Now imagine something subtle changes. Instead of opening your banking app and seeing $87, you see $1,087. Nothing else in your life changed. Your job is the same. Your rent is the same. your income is the same. But psychologically, something important has shifted. For the first time in a while, the next unexpected expense isn't automatically a crisis. A car repair might still be annoying, but it's not catastrophic. A doctor visit might still sting, but it doesn't immediately destabilize the month. And that difference matters more than people realize. Because when your brain stops operating in constant emergency mode, it regains something incredibly valuable: mental space. Suddenly, decisions feel slightly calmer. You're not just reacting, you're choosing. And that's when financial behavior starts to change. The real turning point isn't the $1,000 itself, it's the realization that money can create breathing room. Not status, not luxury, breathing room. That's a very different way of thinking about money. Most people grow up seeing money as something you either spend or accumulate. But there's a third role money plays that gets overlooked. Money creates margin, and margin creates freedom. Not the dramatic kind of freedom you see on social media, not yachts or early retirement at 35, something much simpler. The freedom to make decisions without panic. The freedom to handle problems without spiraling. The freedom to say no to something that isn't right for you. That $1,000 becomes proof that margin is possible. And once someone experiences that feeling even briefly, it often changes their priorities. People stop asking only, "Can I afford this?" They start asking something more interesting. What will this do to my margin? Will this purchase bring me closer to financial breathing room or push me back into tightness? That single question quietly reshapes financial behavior over time, not through discipline alone, but through awareness. Building that first $1,000 rarely happens through one dramatic move. It usually comes from a handful of small adjustments. Sometimes it's simply delaying a purchase that could technically happen today. Sometimes it's letting a raise sit untouched for a few months instead of immediately upgrading lifestyle. Sometimes it's selling something you rarely use. Sometimes it's just noticing where small leaks exist. Unused subscriptions. Impulse purchases that feel harmless individually. Tiny expenses that quietly stack together. None of these changes need to be extreme. The goal isn't to restrict your life. The goal is to slowly build a buffer between you and financial chaos. And for many people, the first $1,000 becomes the first visible proof that this buffer is possible. It also changes motivation. Before that point, saving money can feel abstract, like you're sacrificing things today for a future that doesn't feel real. But once you experience the emotional shift that margin creates, saving stops feeling purely restrictive. It starts feeling protective. You're not just accumulating numbers, you're protecting your future decisions, protecting your time, protecting your peace of mind. That shift is subtle but powerful. The first $1,000 doesn't solve every financial problem. It won't eliminate stress entirely. Life will still throw surprises. Expenses will still appear. But something important changes. Money becomes slightly quieter in your mind. It stops dominating every small decision. You stop checking your bank account with the same sense of tension. You start trusting that you can handle things. Not perfectly, but calmly. And that's the real milestone most people never talk about. Financial peace rarely begins with wealth. It begins with space. A little room between you and the next problem. A little room between your paycheck and your stress. For many people, that space begins around one simple number: $1,000. Not a finish line, Just the moment where money stops feeling like a constant threat and starts feeling like something you can work with slowly, imperfectly, on your own timeline.